The Supreme Court is set to hear arguments in a case that could drastically change the future of federal elections. It all centers around a legal idea called independent state legislature theory, and it is gaining ground among conservative Republicans, most notably Trump supporters. NBC News senior White House correspondent Kelly O'Donnell joins us now with a preview of all this. Kelly, good morning. So first of all, walk us through exactly what is independent state legislature theory and how did this case make its way all the way to the Supreme Court?
Good morning, Joe. This centers on a case involving North Carolina and how it, in 2021, set its congressional map. And it was determined that that map for the districts in the state was not fair in terms of a partisan balance. And now the question is, who gets to decide that? And the theory says it is only the legislature. And that means it would cut out things like state courts or an independent commission or other voices that could bring balance if there are perhaps partisan voices in a state legislature that might rob some citizens in a state of equal protection. Those are the issues that are at play here, but it goes much bigger than what would affect just North Carolina. That is the case, but the implications are much wider. Could that have an impact on federal presidential elections, and could it change how elections are run if only lawmakers get to determine election law? Right now, we have a system which includes checks and balances, where state courts have an ability to look at a situation and say that was drawn unfairly and to make changes. So there's a lot at stake here. This is a theory that is supported by a number of conservatives, including some who are on the Supreme Court. Some of the justices have written about this in past cases, and that's why it's notable that they took this case willing to hear it today. Joe?
I definitely did not learn about that theory in my poli-sci courses. So, Kelly, opponents have been vocal, saying this could cause political damage, directly threatening, they say, the future of democracy. So how might a ruling affect our elections down the road? And what else are we hearing from leaders who are in this field?
When cases like this come to the Supreme Court, you get a lot of supporting briefs on both sides of an issue. And in this case, there were many more in opposition to this view. And there are those who believe this could really upend balance and fairness in the courts and could put too much power in the hands of partisans in the election environment. And it resonates now because of what we've all lived through in the last few years, when you have certainly allies of former President Trump, like John Eastman, the conservative lawyer. This is a theory that he has believed in, and President Trump has himself invoked this idea that only the legislators could use this theory. So former Attorney General under the Obama administration, Eric Holder, spoke out about what's at stake.
It's a fringe theory that North Carolina Republicans are trying to use to make sure that the North Carolina Republican legislature has the sole responsibility of doing redistricting in the state and excluding from that determination the state court system. It is something that, if the Supreme Court goes along with it, would really upend our system of checks and balances, and it's for that reason that I am extremely concerned.
One of the questions that opponents of this idea raise: could a state legislature decide to submit a separate panel of electors in a presidential case and really invalidate the will of the people? Those kinds of scenarios are being talked about as potentially kind of an off-route of what could happen here. We'll be listening to the case today. We'll see what kinds of questions the justices ask. But the fact that they took this case is certainly indicative that the conservative court, a supermajority now, 6 conservatives, 3 liberals, they have something to say about this. So it'll be one of the high-interest cases of this term. Joe?
All right. We know you'll be keeping an eye on it. Kelly O'Donnell, thank you.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.